2.8 million. That is the exact number of new subscribers who signed up for Peacock solely to watch the 2024 Dolphins-Cheats wildcard game. It looked like a victory lap for the NFL's streaming future. But contrast that sugar high with the reality of the 2025 Ravens-Packers exclusive, where the audience dropped to 9.72 million. This is the streaming trap. The NFL is actively trading mass linear reach for short-term subscriber spikes, forcing fans into a fragmented, high-cost ecosystem. This isn't just about football. It is a calculated $110 billion experiment to see how much friction consumers will tolerate before the model breaks. To understand the endgame, we have to look at the math behind the receipt. The foundation of this trap is the league's current media rights deal, an 11-year agreement valued at nearly $11 billion running through 2033. This deal more than doubled the value of prior contracts, but the money didn't come from traditional TV growth, it came from the Peacock tax. NBC Universal isn't just paying for broadcast rights, they are paying to cannibalize their own cable assets. They are using NFL inventory to prop up a streaming service that has historically struggled to retain users. NBC accepts this tax because the NFL is the only content powerful enough to force a credit card transaction from a reluctant viewer. However, the product you receive for that transaction is technical regression. This is the latency lie. While the league markets 4K streaming as the technological future, the reality is a significant downgrade. Streaming technology still consistently lags 30 to 60 seconds behind live reality. If you are on a text thread or Twitter, you know the score before the play happens on your screen. The league is sacrificing the real-time communal experience, the very thing that makes sports valuable, in favor of data harvesting. A digital stream allows for dynamic ad insertion and granular user tracking that over-the-air broadcasts cannot provide. They are trading the integrity of live sports for the value of your behavioral data. The delay isn't a bug, it is a feature of the ad tech stack. Super Bowl LX in 2026 serves as the final boss of this strategy. With NBC and Peacock controlling the broadcast, the NFL will likely test the limits of how much of the Super Week can be gated behind a paywall. This creates fragmentation friction. A fan today needs Amazon Prime, Netflix, Peacock, ESPN+, and YouTube TV just to watch a single team's full season. You are no longer just a fan, you are a monthly active user across 5 different platforms. This friction is essential to the league's financial goals. The NFL aims to hit $25 billion in annual revenue by 2027. This revenue waterfall ensures every team receives over $400 million annually before selling a single ticket or jersey. The strategy looks profitable on a spreadsheet, but when we look at the 4 tech giants running the show, the cracks in the foundation actually appear. The strategy looks profitable on paper, but when we look at the 4 tech giants running the show, the cracks in the foundation appear. Each platform represents a different quadrant of the streaming trap, and by analyzing their specific failures and successes, we can see exactly where the consumer is being squeezed. First, we have to look at Peacock's churn roulette. The data from the 2025 playoffs tells the entire story of the linear versus streaming war. When NBC aired the Rams-Bears wildcard game on traditional broadcast television, it pulled in 45.4 million viewers. It was a massive, frictionless cultural event. Contrast that with the streaming exclusive games. While the NFL touts a 63% viewership lift during these exclusive windows compared to typical streaming baselines, that number is misleading. It represents forced compliance, not organic growth. The trap here is the post-event churn. NBC effectively plays a game of roulette. With every exclusive broadcast, they force millions of fans to sign up to watch one game, banking on the hope that they forget to cancel. However, the data suggests that these users are highly transient. They treat the subscription fee like a digital ticket price for a single event, canceling immediately after the final whistle. NBC sacrifices the massive reach of a 45 million viewer broadcast to chase a smaller pool of subscribers who have no loyalty to the platform. Next, we move to Amazon's ad yield problem. Amazon has arguably built the best technical product with Prime Vision, and the numbers reflect that quality. They saw 16% year-over-year growth, reaching an average of 15.33 million viewers in 2025. But here's the hidden trap for the business. programmatic ad yields on streaming still lag significantly behind traditional linear TV rates. On a traditional broadcast, a commercial spot has a scarcity value that drives up the price. In the streaming environment, despite the record viewership, ad buyers are hesitant. The inventory is often sold programmatically, meaning it is automated and data-driven, which ironically drives the price down. Amazon is delivering NFL-sized audiences, but is struggling to command NFL-sized ad rates because the market still views streaming impressions as less valuable than the guaranteed reach of broadcast TV. Amazon is subsidizing the production costs of the NFL to get you into the Prime ecosystem, but the football business itself has a monetization gap. Then there's the YouTube Sunday Ticket gamble. This is the most expensive piece of the puzzle. Google pays $2 billion annually for the rights to Sunday Ticket. In return, they have roughly 2 million subscribers. If you run the math on $300 or $400 per subscriber, the revenue does not come close to covering the $2 billion rights fee. This looks like a disaster, but for Google, it is a calculated loss leader. The high price point leads to a churn rate of around 5.1% in the sports SVOD sector, which is dangerously high for a subscription service. But Google isn't trying to profit on the subscription fee alone. They are buying the world's most valuable data set on male purchasing habits. By analyzing who buys Sunday Ticket, Google can correlate that data with search history, YouTube viewing habits, and shopping data to build the ultimate ad targeting profile. They are absorbing a $1 billion loss annually to feed their primary advertising algorithm. Finally, we have Netflix's sugar high events. Netflix broke records with the Christmas 2025 Lions-Vikings game, hitting 27.5 million viewers. It proves they can generate massive reach, but Netflix treats the NFL differently than the others. For them, football is a marketing expense, not a sports business. The trap for Netflix is the 40% churn rate of video streaming services compared to bundled cable. A user who signs up for Netflix to watch a Christmas game is statistically likely to leave once they finish Stranger Things or Squid Game. Netflix pays a premium for these sugar-high events to create a momentary spike in engagement, but they lack the weekly sports consistency to keep those fans locked in long-term. They are renting the NFL's audience for a day, hoping to convert them into entertainment subscribers, which is a risky, high-cost strategy that relies on constant hit shows to prevent the inevitable drop-off. These platforms are bleeding cash to acquire users, which brings us to the only metric that matters to a CEO, the ratio of CAC, customer acquisition cost, to LTV, lifetime value. This is the scorecard that will determine the future of sports media. In the old world, ratings were the metric. In the new world, a 27 million viewer game is a financial failure if the customer acquisition cost is too high and the lifetime value is too short. If Netflix spends $150 million on a Christmas game and acquires 2 million users, but those users churn out in 30 days, the math collapses. The industry standard for monthly churn hovers between 5 and 7%, which means the bucket is constantly leaking. This is why we are seeing the rise of the bundle defense. Data from Disney Plus and ESPN Plus shows that bundling services reduces churn by up to 59%. The standalone streaming model is fundamentally flawed because it is too easy to cancel. The trap for the consumer is the rebundling of these services into a package that looks exactly like the cable bundle you thought you escaped, but at a higher aggregate price point. We know the NFL sees this coming. In a September 2025 interview with CNBC, Commissioner Roger Goodell explicitly discussed the potential for early renegotiation of these deals. He isn't waiting for the contracts to expire in 2033. He knows that as the tech giants fight for market share, the value of his product goes up. Hans Schroeder, the COO of NFL Media, reinforced this on The Rich Eisen Show, discussing the shift toward data attribution. The league is moving away from counting eyeballs and toward counting transactions. They want to prove to Amazon and Google that the NFL doesn't just bring viewers, it brings shoppers. Brian Rolapp, the NFL's chief media and business officer, is executing the final leg of this strategy through international expansion. By pushing games into new markets, he is creating a hedge against domestic saturation. If the US market taps out, they have global inventory to sell to these same global tech platforms. The ultimate trap closes when the NFL leverages these tech giants against each other to force an early opt-out of the current deal. The league's goal is to make Amazon, Google, and Netflix so dependent on football for their data and subscriber goals that they have no choice but to pay double the rights fees in the next round. The traditional broadcast model is effectively dead, and the new money is entirely in rights management. The NFL has successfully pivoted from a traditional media company to a tech-enabled holding company. For aspiring executives, the most valuable skill is no longer selling sponsorship, but mastering media rights strategy, understanding precisely how to carve up and allocate exclusive IP to maximize LTV for these tech giants. That is where the real money is now. If you want to understand the business behind the game, subscribe to Revenue Racers for more breakdowns.